I'm a fitness influencer. Of course I flex before sex.
Start without me, babe. My quads are looking amazing.
All right, hey guys, welcome back to the Davi Hobby channel. So this one's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be explaining how to structure a workout. I picture three like different archetypes, types of people in your head, and pick the one that kind of like closest fits you. So the first one is going to be like, we're going to do like a 14 to 17-year-old kid. The other one is going to be like a 45-year-old man, probably has back pain, and not a lot of available time. And then the last one is going to be someone who's like 60 plus, elderly, clearly is not able to do the same type of workouts. What I'm going to explain in this video is how to structure your workout no matter what type of person you are. Because one of the biggest things that you come across when you're first trying to get into working out is that people get a plan, they see something, and then they kind of go all in on one thing, not really understanding why they're doing that or where the plan came from, or not understanding that that specific plan only works for the person that they got it from. So do not listen to people trying to reinvent the wheel, people that are trying to sell you something. All of the results that you want, for the most part, you can achieve with good cardio and calisthenics for most people's standards. That and a good diet will get you most of where you want to be at, believe it or not. So the three most important things is going to be time, your goal, and what resources you have. That's why I chose the three archetypes, because those are going to vary depending on who you are. You might have all the time in the world, but you have severe pain. You might not have a lot of time, but all the resources in the world, or vice versa. So you got to ask yourself, what's your goal? Because there's no point in you trying to do this heavy bodybuilder, macho man style workout, Rich Piana style workout, if you're just kind of trying to lose a little bit of weight for something, or you want to go out, you just want to feel a little bit better about yourself. You don't have to be in the gym for 2-3 hours, doing a bro split, slamming protein powder. So what's your actual goal? Because if it's simple, if it's something like that, I just want to lose a little bit of weight, I just want to be a bit healthier, I have a health problem that I want to get rid of, a lot of that can be changed in most part just by eating different stuff. And I will cover that in a different video, because exercise doesn't just come in the form of lifting weights or running a marathon. You can do plenty of cardio just by doing fun stuff that you might enjoy, like sports. If you're outside in the summer every day playing basketball, football, all that, you're drinking water a lot, and you're not eating too crazy, chances are you're gonna be a pretty fit person just by doing that. And that person's not lifting weights, but they're still exercising in a way that they like. How much time do you have? Now, this is going to be one of the most important things. First off, one of the biggest myths that people are going to tell you is that there's no time. Now, that's a lie. There's always time somewhere, or time that you can make. Now, yes, obviously, if you're in a very bad situation, things are going on, you probably don't want to leave your grandma's funeral to go hit some push-ups and stuff. I understand that. But even if you have no equipment, there's always going to be some time where you can get a little bit of a workout and burn a little extra calories, even if it's just taking the long way up the stairs, to clock in or something like that. There's always room that you can make in there for there to be adjustments. Gonna be equipment, what you have available to you. Like I said earlier, most of the things that you want to achieve, you can achieve through calisthenics and cardio. You can get extremely strong. You can get pretty big, very fit just by running, jumping, learning different calisthenic skills. It does take a toll on the body, and it will get you very strong. But equipment determines how specific you can get with your training. You know, if you want to be, you know, a bodybuilder, but you only have calisthenics, there is going to be a point where you're going to need more than what you have. You can still get very big. Believe me, you can. There's always ways that you can change intensity, but if you're trying to be like Mr. Olympia or something like that, push-ups by itself is not going to do that for you. But if you're like, oh, I just want big shoulders, like, you don't need equipment for a lot of things. But when you determine your goal, you determine what you have, you can structure things differently. But if you have no equipment in 20 minutes versus all the equipment, all the time, all the resources, you have endless options. So that's why it's important to learn how to structure it. If I say, oh, I only have 25 minutes and some dumbbells, that's plenty for me to superset, you know, do some push-ups, then some shoulder press, push-up, shoulder press, maybe do some squats. I have to find a way to make that 25 minutes work. Okay, so when it comes to actually determining how to structure a workout and using those archetypes, let's say you are the elderly grandma, and like I said, maybe you are obese or have some health issues, bad knees, something like that. You're not going to be expected to be doing CrossFit in the gym, kettlebell swings, you know, all types of that crazy shit. What you're going to want to do is that you shouldn't even necessarily be worrying about a planned structure as much as just doing the small bits to advance. Your progression is going to be walking a block versus 2 blocks versus 3. Understanding your limits, understanding where you can increase, and a lot of that is going to be more so maintaining. But then let's say the father, you're probably 40, 45, maybe getting to 50. You do not have a lot of time. You have kids at home. You have a job and a half. You have fatherly responsibilities. And you really do not have a lot of time, because every time you're about to go do something, you get a call from the boss or the kids or the wife or something like that. If you have some type of equipment, something around your house, chances are you have the ability to purchase some dumbbells, to purchase something like that. Determine how much time you have, and then structure how much intensity you should be receiving by the end of that time, and pace it like that. So if you're working out for an hour, you're doing a push-pull legs type split. You're like, okay, I have an hour. Let's say half of that is stretching, getting dressed, doing a little bit of cardio or something like that. And you have a pure 30 minutes or 45 minutes or however long of intensity. You need to pace yourself in a productive manner with that. So if you are very obese and you really can't move that much weight, you probably don't need a whole hour of doing something, but that is where you are practicing repetitions. You're doing more cardio. You're doing more stretching. Use that and get a timeline of where you need to be at by what time. One of the biggest issues that people have is they get into the gym and they actually don't know where they even need to be at. They get there, and while they're getting dressed, they're like, wait, is it the push day? Is it the pull day? Oh, I skipped legs like 3 times, and it's when it gets unstructured. The thing about getting this structure down is it's not even necessarily having everything in a fancy book and having everything just written ready to go. It's more about not allowing yourself to go outside of that until you truly understand it. So back to the archetype. The last one, teenager, kid, whatever. Not a lot of resources, plenty of time. Even if you are not necessarily lifting weights or you're not in a school sport or something like that, you don't necessarily have to worry about packing on a ton of muscle. You really shouldn't be until you're older and more of an adult before you worry about that, but kids are going to anyway. A teenager, especially with not a lot of resources, maybe you can't get to the gym all the time, do a lot of push-ups, do a lot of calisthenics. You're going to have a ton of energy. You just get it in wherever it fits in. Focus more on getting technique and skills down. But the biggest way that you can figure out how to structure your own workout, I can't necessarily give you a guide exactly what to do, but you need to be in the gym and be consistent in what you're doing, because if you're not gonna have a base understanding of what it is that you can do. If you're telling yourself like, oh, well, this certain weight is very hard, I can't lift that, and you haven't been able to lift that for weeks and weeks on end, and it's something that maybe you've done before or that's very easy. If you're telling me, you're 25 and you've been in football all your life and you still can't curl a 25-pound weight, there's probably something wrong. Not necessarily like there's something wrong with you or medically, but probably wrong in your training that you haven't faced that yet, and you need to learn how to do that. It's not necessarily the picture perfect thing that you come down to having your Sam Sulek moment, having your Greg Doucette moment where you get to be talked about and all that stuff. It's not about any of that. It's more about finding hypertrophy and training almost kind of in everyday things. And when you have that goal, you know how much time you have. You know how to structure that. You have 40 minutes for hockey and you want to be the greatest hockey player ever. During that 30 minutes you have, you better get to your squats, you better get to your drills, you better get to your whatever. MMA, you've got 10 minutes, I better see 10 crazy hard minutes on the bag.
The guy who's doing 2 fucking movements per body part. His chest day is only incline bench and pec deck. His leg day is only leg extensions and hamstring curls. If he goes at those sets like a total fucking freak, he's gonna beat the guy doing 75% his intensity with like a fancy pants, 3 sets of chest, 3 sets of pause rep. The harder you go, the more food you eat, the bigger you'll be able to get.
And if you're just, old lady that needs to be better, take your time. Maybe walk to the grocery market, get a bag of fresh fruits, whatever it is. Figure out how to cook better. That's your goal. That's your hypertrophy. Do not focus on these crazy Instagram, Facebook reels, all of this stuff that you see where they tell you you have to pound a whole thing of protein, you have to eat all this food, you have to do this crazy workout regimen. Fitness is a lot simpler than people want it to sound, because if they tell you everything that you need to know right off the back, you have no incentive to continue watching and buying their products because you would just already know. They're trying to reinvent the wheel because it's been the same for all eternity. And especially now that we have more information, it's almost easier for people to mess things up, because a lot of the fitness community is unfortunately based off of half truths. So make sure that doesn't happen to you.